Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Fight Legends Dev Update, number 21 already. As always, we're here with lead dev Dizzley on the project. How you doing today, man?
That's beautiful, brother. It's nice to be here with you.
Awesome.
How you
Yeah.
doing?
Oh, we're doing good. I like your background. Showing off the Fight Legends Stadium back there. Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, we're gonna learn a little bit more about that. We got some updates there, so that's gonna be very cool. But of course, we're gonna dive right into the action by first looking at some new Ross animations and combos. Always cool to see those because those end up in the demo pretty quickly. So first, let's dive right in. The first one we're looking at is something that's kind of just some basic combos, some punch kick combo of sorts. So you guys are just what's the terms of this? Are you tightening something up about this?
It depends on which one. I can't see which one you're showing, but the so basically we've got a couple of different new combos. So I'll just talk through them.
Of course, yeah.
We've got basically one of them. One of the recordings that you've got is just like showing just like basically more or less the input scheme that we've currently got, which is like a quick attack, heavy attack, special attack, and then a super attack. Now the super attack I haven't shown yet because we haven't properly implemented it yet, but basically more or less you've got the quick attacks will be like I mentioned, quick. There'll be things that you can use to like stop other like the slower windups from happening, from being pulled out from your opponent.
Right.
So you'll have like a crouch, a default, and a jumping. We still haven't worked out whether or not there'll be more than that, but that's quick crouch, quick like standard, and quick jumping, and then heavy, which will be like as you might see on one of the slides, a sweep attack.
That's what we're showing right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've also got a sort of like the names are in Japanese, but the it's like basically an axe drop kick.
Okay.
That'll be like heavy, and I was kind of like sort of playing around with implementing it to be like an air attack. But also in one of the combos you'll notice that a quick heavy combo will have that move activate as the last final move, like as an overhead attack, without being from the air. So that was pretty fun to implement.
That looks good.
The other,
that one we're looking at right now with the spinning heel
smooth.
kick on the end there. You mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one is nice and smooth. That's we've definitely seen and you've got some great impact animations there that are really cool. So it's looking really polished and almost. Have there been updates to like again from a non-dev guy, like the shaders or something like that? Like it looks a little more vibrant or something. Like what's being getting put in there?
I've imported them in and been playing around with different sort of texture combinations or different shader combinations. But we're still sort of exploring it. So at the moment, these are sort of just like what we've currently got. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another pass on it before we'll release this.
Right.
We're hoping to have it sort of playable within a weekish, because there's still networking things that we have to do in the back end to try and get it ready for that in the prod environment rather than just in dev. And and then the other combo here is also ends with a like sort of like what we're calling it hurricane kick, which is like the spin upwards. And one of the combos has it again finish at the end, and there's a bit of a delay when you begin the attack. So this like removes that delay if it's part of the combination, like sequence, which is like a light punch, forward heavy kick, and then goes into like I think it's back special, and it'll activate the hurricane kick. So that ends in a multi-hit combo. Still playing around with the VFX with them as well, just trying to get them looking nice and implement them properly.
Yeah, it's almost like a hurricane kick from Street Fighter, but vertical instead of horizontal, almost like a Sonic Boom style almost. Is what it reminds me of. I love it. Yeah, that's flexible. Ross is amazing. Love it. And then the other one I have it here on the board as the crouching tiger move. So you might know from that which one I'm talking about. Kind of, I don't know how he does it, but he jumps straight up and then kind of does this forward like kick. Yeah. He might have 4 or 5 combos there, so I love that. That's very cool.
So what we're trying to do with that one is we're trying to implement it, and it's kind of playing around with it. And I think it would actually be cooler if it came in with a sort of a vertical dive, and then on contact it begins the combo. So I'm gonna sort of play around with it a little bit, but yeah. To be honest, that's just like sort of the like rough first pass of like just testing the hitboxes out, making sure it's all like making contact and everything like that, and that it's more or less like a nice gameplay feel if we're pulling it off.
Nice.
Because it's nothing more frustrating than having something that's a bit too finicky with how you activate it and when you activate it.
Right. I did notice that on this one, as well as the one was relating to the Sonic Boom, there you were doing a little bit of juggling. Is that something that people will be able to break out of, or can you extend it as the attacker at all?
So we want to play around with it. We don't want to be too punishing with like juggling or like extending combos, because I feel like it gets to a point where it's just like you can just put the control down and be like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So like you say, being able to break out of it, like a combo breaker, would be pretty cool. So we're going to play around with different implementations of how we can get around to being more of a back and forth rather than just like a dominated like sort of gameplay style. One of those things that we were thinking about is like a reward mechanic and maybe having different inputs. So there might be a more complicated input or a more basic input scheme. And if you're able to activate the complicated input, the more complex input, well, obviously you're a more skilled player, and we can reward people for that by potentially giving them more combo gauge, or like, you know, maybe having different buffs that occur from the trainer or something like that. But we're still playing around with the ideas and concepts and how we could implement that.
Very cool. Well, these are all great. And so when will people be able to start seeing these in the playable demo that people can play right now with the purchase of the bloodyfaces.io NFT Mint Pass?
Well, basically, I'm hoping that more or less by the end of next week, we will have a build that we'll be uploading so that people can begin to play it. This will hopefully include, if we've been able to, the open lobby section where players will be able to log in and be able to challenge each other within the lobby. So we're still playing around with the implementation of it and choosing what sort of is the best networking standard to use as the transport layer for the lobby section.
Awesome. Well, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's go in, because we have a little bit of, some UI to show you guys as we're working on that. But we also got some news just as far as, the lobby networking goes. And yeah, that's pretty big news that pretty soon they'll be able to hop in there. The Bloody Faces Mint Pass holders who have early access, they'll be able to hop in there and challenge each other. That's sooner rather than later, we're hoping, huh? That's awesome.
Yeah. Basically, we're starting off with the very basic implementation, obviously, where you can run around, you can you can see other players, chat with them over voice chat. We're going to be implementing like a really basic sort of text chat. And then, but yeah, more or less you can challenge other players. We will both go into a fight together and then be thrown back out into the lobby. And then we're just going to slowly just keep expanding from that and adding more things. Like we're going to expand the chat, going to make some people they can have like direct private chats. There'll be more or less like a friend system where you can add friends and be able to see their profiles, track their players' stats, things like that. And as we release new fighters, and then when we start integrating the NFTs, you actually be able to more or less on the character selection screen, which I haven't provided with you yet, but we've got that mocked up, because we're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best method of being able to select a character when you can own multiple of the same characters. So it'll be more or less like a default sort of character select screen, but when you select the character, that's just the category, and then you can see all the NFTs you own of that character in the NFT mode, for example.
Well, I saw on some of this that there's a little bit of a create a character screen. So what will, how will that be implemented when you're, we were talking about the player avatar NFTs being, and everyone would have like a vanilla skin. So will this be available only to the people that own the player avatar NFT?
So we've been talking about that, and we're thinking more or less of sort of like a two-tier system. So you've got a normal avatar, which will be customizable with in-game assets that you can purchase or win as rewards. And that will be more or less like we were saying, like the vanilla default avatar. And then you can have a player avatar, the NFT, that you can obviously purchase when we release our NFT collection for the player avatars. And those will be unique and special. Like you pretty much, the only thing you'll be able to change with them more or less will be the pants and the feet, because you can't see them as part of the NFT. So that's up to the player to choose. So we can have some really cool kicks in game you can wear, but also they'll be very unique in the fact that all the traits that are a part of the player avatar collection won't be available to purchase or use by any other avatar in the game. So that when you've got yours, you'll see the difference between player avatar and a default. Like you look at a default and you go,
Dang.
you'll know, okay, those guys are just the sort of general versions. They can still get cool cosmetics, but it's not going to be as flashy or as interesting as the player avatar one. They're going to be quite unique, as obviously NFTs are.
Awesome. Yeah, love that. That's very cool. Well, these are very cool slides that we're showing here. A good little. It's hilarious how just putting press E to interact kind of. You're like, oh dang, we're close. It's right there. I just want to push the button. Let's do this. So that's very cool. So looking forward to hearing more updates there and seeing how we move forward. Let's see, what else do we got on here? We got the stadium interior is being worked on as well. So we're seeing some shots of that in this slide. Tell us a little bit more about that, what we've seen, and like what stage do you think we're? Is this pretty early? What we're on?
This is pretty early. This is like the first iteration. So we're planning on sort of we're thinking about different ways that we're going to implement this, but we're also thinking about the design. So one of the things we're floating around is removing the floor and blowing up the stage to be even bigger. And of course, the fighters right now look very tiny on the stage. We're actually sort of implementing or throwing around the idea, testing that we can actually have players come into this arena as a spectator with a bunch of other players. So it's like a spectator lobby, and you'll be able to, if we can basically stream the fight onto the platform, so and we can blow up the characters to be much larger, so you're watching basically like these big holographic versions of the fighters duking it out on this stage, live from actually a fight that you're spectating, but you're also able to talk and communicate and chat and run around and basically interact with other players in that space while you're watching it. So I don't think that's ever been really done before in fighting games. So we're gonna have to really have a look at how we can to implement that all. But it's kind of exciting, the idea that you could actually spectate within a 3D space rather than just spectate the game like you typically would, like as if you're joining the game, but you can't actually do anything because you're just watching the two.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's huge for esports and all sort of things. So that's gonna be something to keep an eye out. And that automatically got me thinking, like, one day we could be doing this like live from the metaverse in the on a little stage surrounded by all of our fans. Imagine that.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely awesome.
That'll be awesome. One day it's gonna happen for sure. All right, that's cool. Awesome. So what else do we got here? I wanted to throw in one extra thing. I wanted to just throw out the character sculpt vid. It was a cool little introduction into the what we're calling temporarily spin, and the vote ended earlier today on the character naming contest we sent out there. We're looking for suggestions that we might be able to use for the character name. I believe we had a winner. I'm not exactly sure, so we'll let everyone. I think it was. Go ahead.
I think it was Kaiten. I think
Yes.
that Kaiten was the one that came up on head. I personally liked Volta. I think that Volta was a kind of cool one because it's I think it's Portuguese as well. I think that was also pretty cool. I think all the top four that ended up coming out were actually really cool.
Yeah.
We'll end up, obviously the winners will end up getting prizes for that. But yeah, I think it was amazing seeing all of the community bringing up all that creativity and ideas like forward. I really loved like looking and watching it. And also when we were voting on it and as a team, what people were actually coming forward and being like, this is an awesome one. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, we got a lot of entries, so it was really great, and I think it's really fun to get their feedback. So I'm really looking forward to and kind of brainstorming different ways we can and do that sort of thing in the future, right? So that's gonna be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so let's go and see the character vid real quick. I'm gonna show everybody, and then we'll go from there.
Yep. So basically, this is our artist, 3D artist, and he's basically working on adapting the 2D concept into the 3D. So obviously, if anybody hasn't seen it, I'm pretty sure it's on our Twitter, that you can see the concept art for this character that, like Sean said, it's temporarily being called Spin. But basically, it's more or less as a breakdancing character, and they're going to be. It'll be really cool to try and animate them, get their moves in the game. And part of the process of sculpting them is to sort of explore how close or far away from the concept that we can go, but we want to start by pulling it as close to the concept as possible. So this is just like a first pass iteration of the character. Our artist is already working on like a second pass, and then once we nail that down, we'll obviously start moving into the retopology, which is sort of turning it into a game asset, like making it low poly, and then into the texture mapping, and then like sort of what that would be for the shader materials and how we actually apply that in the engine to make it look more like that. So we're going to be more or less playing around with if we can, how well we can replicate the way that the concept looks in the game. And we'll see if we can actually like pull it off, like how
Volta,
accurate, or if it doesn't look right. We'll play around with it, try and get the best implementation.
Awesome.
Find our style.
Nice, that's awesome, dude. These visuals are so cool from a non-dev guy to see the different coloration and like how you're starting out with the eyeballs and that sort of thing.
It's always cool to see a piece of clay like go from just a blob and then to get pulled out, extorted, and moved around. And yeah, it's really cool.
Exactly. We had Chris NFTs, hey, part of the fight team over there, saying vote #1 for Volta. Of course, that was my vote too, man. That was my vote too. I think Volta came in second, so that's a solid silver. That's $50 in a bloody face NFT to whoever got that in. So we'll get those out to everyone.
I think that was Warband. I think that was one of our.
Oh yeah, Volta was
long-time
Warband.
opponent. Yeah,
you're right. Absolutely. Yep. So already he's gonna be able to gift that bad boy or hold on to it if he doesn't have 3 already. You know, that'll be worth something extra one day. You know. But yeah, absolutely. So very cool concepts. Looking to see more of this kind of behind the scenes stuff. We're gonna bring more of this to you guys out there in the fight land. So, you know, make sure you're liking and subscribing to this channel. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you're following over there, either on my channel, Shawn S. Porter, or the Fight Legends NFT. You better be following both is what I'm saying, right? So, Dizzley, that's all I've got over here, man. Thank you again every week. We're going to talk to you next week, and we'll catch you in Discord. We'll catch you on the Twitters, and you have a good rest of your day, man. We'll see you all out there.
You too, man.
All right, later.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night, guys.